All right, welcome to week 2 of our Cavalier Insider Preview. This time it's Virginia taking on Penn State. UVA 1-0. Penn State Lions coming in 0-1. Andrew Ramspacher joined by Jerry Ratcliffe. And Jerry, just to recap last week real quick, UVA knocks off Richmond from the FCS in pretty business-like fashion, winning 43-19. What things did you pick up from that game that you think are most crucial heading in now to week 2?
Well, I was more impressed with Virginia's passing game. I thought they did a pretty good job of taking what Richmond gave them, and I'd still like to see them take a few more downfield shots than what they did. Defensively, I thought they played better than I anticipated. They did have a few issues in the secondary, as we thought, and I'm sure that will continue for a while. But I thought their kicking game was pretty good, considering they were breaking in three new guys, and so I thought they did pretty good for an opener. The one thing they wanted to accomplish was score more points, and they certainly did that. They got points that matched the yardage, unlike many games last year. So I thought they did a pretty good job for the opening game. How about you?
Yeah, that offense, 545 yards to go along with 43 points, and it got both of the big storylines involved. You saw Michael Rocco do what Michael Rocco does, use the underneath game, be smart, not try to really force too many things. 311 yards through the air, one shy of his career high. And then you saw Phillip Sims even get some time there in the fourth quarter and he marches right down the field in 87 yards and really leads a really good drive and completes his first 5 passes. So, like you said, I think all 3 phases kind of checked out, which gives them some momentum here going into week 2 with a tougher opponent and obviously an interesting opponent, one with a national spotlight on it. Obviously, when you say Penn State nowadays, you think about obviously the Jerry Sandusky case that has kind of rocked this entire program and this culture. They're coming off a loss and really an emotional afternoon against OU last week, Ohio University, in Beaver Stadium at State College. What kind of Penn State team can you expect coming in now? It's their first road trip. I know there's some talk about how they're going to handle an away crowd with all the baggage that comes with them. What kind of Penn State team are you expecting here at Scott Stadium?
I think they'll be fired up to play. I just don't know what the overall quality is of this team. It's certainly not like any of the Penn State teams that Virginia has faced in the past under George Welsh and Al Groh. I think these guys are going to struggle for a while. I think Penn State fans who are used to winning 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 games a year are going to have to readjust their thinking on that. I think unless some of these guys mature in a hurry, I can't see them winning more than 3 games, maybe 4 this year, and I don't think they're going to win this weekend. I thought prior to all that stuff that happened that you mentioned with Sandusky and that Penn State would have probably been a slight favorite coming in here. Now they're 10-point underdogs for obvious reasons. I just don't think there's the depth there, and Virginia's been pretty good at building depth this year and last year. And I just think Virginia's program right now is in pretty decent shape. As fired up as Penn State's players are going to be, I just don't think that they have the depth and the quality of player to go on the road and win a game, at least a game against a decent opponent.
And you mentioned the depth. That was kind of part of their downfall against Ohio in week 1. You saw for the first half they were real competitive. They were up 14-3. That second half, things kind of started to wear down for them, and OU took over. And the Bobcats are a good team. I think people kind of need to realize that just because they come from the MAC, this was a 10-win team last year. Tyler Tettleton, a very, very good quarterback. So they got beat by a pretty game opponent last week, but nonetheless, it is a step up in competition for him this week in Virginia. I think the big matchup, when you see Bill O'Brien, the new coach at Penn State, he comes over from the New England Patriots that threw the ball a bunch of times, obviously with Tom Brady. Week 1 with Matt McGloin at Penn State, they throw it 48 times. Hey, if you're Mike London, you already have it. You have a young secondary. What a test for you here in week 2, because you know that they're going to air it out a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. That's one thing that surprised me last week, that it took Richmond so long to figure out that they could throw the ball on Virginia. Once they did, they marched down the field a couple of times and scored quickly. I imagine Penn State is going to, like you said, they're going to fill the air full of footballs in Scott Stadium. So that secondary is going to be really under the gun, and it's going to be interesting. I think it could be good news, though, because for guys like the outside linebackers and defensive ends, I think they might be able to get a little more pass rush on this quarterback, because I don't expect to see quite as many three-step drops like the Richmond quarterback had.
Yeah, obviously UVA with 0 sacks last week against Richmond. One of the few negatives, I think, from that game. Just to wrap up here real quickly, we'll give a couple of score predictions. Jerry, you go ahead first.
Just off the top of my head, I'm thinking something like 38-14, 38-17, something in that neighborhood.
I'm gonna go a little closer. I think Penn State goes against the spread there. I'm gonna go around 20-14 in kind of a defense dominated game, and that will do it for week 2, our Cavalier Insider preview. Next time we'll see you will be after the Penn State game at Scott Stadium down the field.